The most common question I get asked about being gay in the workplace is, you know, I don't tell you about my sex life or what I do in bed, so why do you have to tell me what you do in bed? You know, that question is sort of still frustrating that I'm still hearing it because, you know, of course, it has nothing to do with what I do in bed and any more than it has to do with what my heterosexual colleagues do in bed. Yet, I certainly know a lot about their family situations and their relationship situations. And I think that's good because it adds humanness to the workplace. I mean, we spend most of our lives there, so it makes sense that we know each other as people.
So I'm just out, I'm just who I am. And I found it to be the most rewarding experience I've ever had. And it's been an incredible gift to myself, it really has been. A weight has been taken off my shoulder. I can just go in there and be me, and I don't have to pretend who I am. I'm just me, and it's wonderful.
I'm 40 years old, I'm gay, I've been married, and I'm a father of 3 children. I'm out to just about everyone in my life, including everyone that I work with. I decided after several years of hiding my identity from my coworkers that it was really taking a toll on me personally and on the work that I was able to perform for my company.
One of the reasons that I chose to do this was that there were very few women lesbians that were out at work, and the other reason is that I'm a manager, and I wanted to see more management and women involved with the lesbian and gay issues at work.
I came out because I was at a point in my life where I felt it was important to come out, to affirm who I am and that I have a right to be who I am and not live in fear or make up excuses at work for what I might have done over the weekend or why I'm not married and just all the questions that always crop up.
Actually, the workplace is one of the few places where I'm not out. I'm out to my family. I was out to my colleagues while I was in school. Went to a university that had a non-discrimination policy, and used to felt very comfortable with that while I was in college. When I came out while in college, the fact that there was that non-discrimination clause there was comforting.
I've been out as a lesbian for a couple years. Before that, it was not fun to be a lesbian at work because no one knew. I couldn't share any of who I really was. And at times, a friend now who I'm out to came and said to me, you know, Sandy, I knew there was a lot more to you, and I just didn't know where it was and what you did and what excited you and what made your life, but you have this level of energy that I saw. And then at work, I saw it diminish, because this is someone I did a few things with outside of work, and you seemed much more concerned, much more reserved, and just unwilling to share. And I thought that there was something wrong personality-wise, or that you really didn't like your job.
One of the first places I came out was in the workplace. I did things somewhat backwards for most people who come out to friends first and maybe eventually in the workplace. Well, I came out in the workplace first because this was becoming a workplace issue. At the same time, I was beginning to deal with it personally. And I'd begun reading about other lesbian gay people on an electronic bulletin board and saw that they were much like me. And one of the things I noticed was that those who were out were much happier than they had been when they were closeted.
I'm not out at work. That causes a lot of turmoil, I guess, in my normal work environment. I spend a lot of time and energy hiding who I am from my coworkers and my peers. That takes its toll also because I get very angry at myself when I don't stand up for myself at work. I come in, I have normal questions that, you know, I guess wouldn't bother other people. What'd you do this weekend? You know, those kind of things. I feel like I hide different parts of my life, and I feel that takes a toll on me. A lot of energy is just spent on that.
Knowing that you're out just gives you the freedom to be more yourself and not have to hide exactly who you are or what you are. And without that stress, and it is stressful, if you do not have that freedom, your productivity inherently suffers. I don't have that anymore.
About 1 out of every 10 employees is a gay man or lesbian woman, and an even higher percentage are bisexual. If you add to that number those employees who have a brother or a sister, a son, a daughter, a mom or dad, or a best friend who's gay, and we begin to understand how many people are affected by the topic of gay issues in the workplace. I'm Brian McNaught, and for the last several years I've been working with corporations who are addressing this issue because they understand that productivity is dramatically affected by anti-gay bias, or what we call homophobia. To combat homophobia, many corporations like AT&T, Disney, Kodak, Procter & Gamble, only to name a few, have instituted policies that prohibit discrimination based upon sexual orientation. Those corporations and many others also offer their employees workshops addressing the issue of homophobia because they want everyone to understand what's the cause of homophobia, what's the effect of homophobia, and how can we together strategize to eliminate homophobia from the workplace. Well, there's a lot of anxiety about this issue. Homophobia, what's that? I know it's a new word because Ray and I filled out the Census Bureau long form. And we did it as a couple. It was the first time the United States government allowed heterosexual and homosexual couples, heterosexual who weren't married, to identify yourselves as sharing expenses, and so we did, and I got a telephone call from the Census Bureau. This woman said, "Mr. McNaught?" I said, "Yes." She said, "This is the Census Bureau. You did a wonderful job filling out your form." I said, "Thank you very much." She said, "But we don't understand what you do for a living." I said, "Why is that?" She said, "It says here you're a homophobia educator." I said, "I am." She said, "Well, we don't know what that is." She said, "But we think it's for people who are afraid of leaving the house. Are we right?" I said, "No." I said, "Homophobia is the fear of homosexuals." And there was a long silence, and then a "thank you very much" and a click. So homophobia is defined as the fear and hatred of homosexuals.
Well, homophobia, I guess, most explicitly expresses itself through jokes about gays, AIDS jokes, jokes about lesbians. A little more indirectly, and I guess it's a different shade of homophobia, it's just the assumption that I'm heterosexual. I was recently involved with a discussion with an older coworker talking about parenting, and he just kind of said, "Oh, well, when you get married and have kids, you'll see such and such." It's a man that's more or less the age of my father, and I was enjoying the conversation right up until that point, and I was like, "Oh," it's like, "Oh, he doesn't realize," and I was like, "Well, does this really bother me?" And it did.
We have an organization at work that is a support organization and deals with company policy. And that organization has had some very negative things happen. We have a phone line with a messaging machine on it, and we've had some extremely nasty, militant, angry, hateful messages that have been left. And that's hurt.
Social scientists suggest to us that about 10% of the population of the United States, and I believe of the world, is homosexual in their orientation. We can't prove it because it would be hard to get everyone in the corporation to answer honestly about their sexual orientation. So I'm asking us all to accept that there is a predictable percentage, and we think it's about 10%. Okay? So that means that 10% of the people who work among us. The company has said nothing bad will happen to you. I propose that most of them have not come out of the closet. There are support groups in the organization for gay and lesbian and bisexual people, and there are some people who join that group, but the majority of gay, lesbian, and bisexual people do not because they are afraid. They're afraid that if they come out, something bad will happen to them. And I think they're afraid because of the things they hear and the things they see on a daily basis around them. Right? That's what we call homophobia, the things they see or the things they hear. And it makes me frightened.
The fear of losing their job, the fear of losing promotional opportunities, the fear of losing their credibility on the job, the fear of losing relationships that they have established with their coworkers, the fear of being harassed, the fear of being put into sometimes violent situations.
One reason I think I don't come out at work is the fear level. I feel that some of the fears are not unfounded. You know, I think I'm having a lot of stress just doing this too, because I'm not out at work. I hear fag jokes around my work environment all the time. I hear people make statements in my work group that are very homophobic.
The fear and hatred of homosexuals. And I propose to you that if you think of homophobia on a continuum, we could all come up with various examples of what homophobia might be in our lives. If you think of homophobia on a continuum, on this end of the continuum would be the physical violent attacks against gay and lesbian people. According to the Reagan administration Justice Department, gay and lesbian people are the victims of physical assault more than any minority community in the United States. When I was the mayor of Boston's liaison to the gay community, the mayor had me do a survey, and of the 1,600 gay people who responded to the survey, 76% reported being verbally assaulted on the street, somebody screaming faggot or dyke at them out a car window. 24% reported being physically assaulted. That's at this end of the spectrum. Now, I used to say that does not happen in the workplace. I don't say that anymore. Because of the emergence of gay people, gay and lesbian and bisexual people across the country in the workplace, many people are receiving threats to their life because of their position of coming out. So that is part of our problem with homophobia today, which prompts some people to not want to come out and share with their office mate who they are. Down at this end of the spectrum is the occasional fag joke that somebody tells at the lunchroom table, and I propose that for all of you that may be a more accurate description of what you experience perhaps in your workplace on a day-to-day basis. Even if we were able to track down the people who make the threatening phone calls and who write things on bathroom walls in magic marker, we still, even if we were able to track them down and educate them, we still would have jokes about AIDS. You know? We'd still have jokes about gay people. And I propose to you that those jokes and those cartoons and those comments, and they're not always jokes, you know, it's somebody inappropriately using language like, did you see the dyke on Donahue, or did you see the queer on Oprah? And if you're a gay or lesbian person in the presence of that conversation, I propose it takes a toll on you.
I've had phone calls left on my answering machine at work, obscene phone calls, disgusting phone calls. I've had letters sent to me that are not appropriate. So I've had bad things happen to me. And it affects me when I go in the morning and I pick up my messages on the phone. If I have any, because there's a timestamp on it, so if I have any message that is not during working hours, I immediately tense up and I think, oh, what is coming this time? What am I going to get this time? And that affects me.
I believe people make inappropriate comments, one, because they don't understand anything about homosexuality, and two, they have no understanding of the toll their comments or behavior have upon gay, lesbian, bisexual people, our parents, our brothers and sisters, and our friends. Ignorance is the parent of fear. I believe that we are all afraid of what we don't understand, and that fear is the parent of hatred. I believe we often hate what we're afraid of.
The occasional negative calls I get in context are a small percentage, and I know that in the company there are only a small percentage of people who are very negative and hostile, and the intent is to make the company aware that these people exist, and for the company to make it clear that these people should keep their thoughts to themselves, that that is inappropriate behavior in the workplace to make negative and inflammatory calls to people who are gay.
Motivated by the ideal of creating a workplace that acknowledges and respects the diversity of the workforce, a workplace in which every employee can grow to his or her full potential and produce at their highest level, corporations today are listening to the voices of their gay, lesbian, and bisexual employees.
I'm primarily looking for a workplace in which I can just be myself, a workplace that wants to take advantage of the talents that I bring. I do want relationships in my life to be recognized in the sense that I do care about whether the corporation eventually recognizes benefits for domestic partners.
As a bisexual man, I would expect that my company would treat me the same as they would treat anybody else. I'm not looking for special treatment, special recognition. I want to feel comfortable to be able to come into work and be able to share myself with my coworkers the same way that they share part of their family experiences with me.
I would like to see my company become more proactive towards the issues of their gay, lesbian, and bisexual employees, specifically in the area of health benefits and specifically in the area of eliminating homophobia in the workplace. We take what I consider to be a safe stand, but not a proactive stand.
I think managers need education. Most of them would probably like to be helpful, but they don't understand what's needed. They don't understand the issues. They don't understand why it's a workplace issue. Most people, once they realize what the problem is, they want to help, and they want to know how.
I think my company could have more widespread awareness activities, education basically. There's some initial efforts at that, basically having homophobia workshops.
What the company could do is to have more seminars as far as homophobia, heterosexism in the workplace. Those kinds of seminars I think are very beneficial. They help dispel a lot of myths and inaccuracies, and I would especially like to see upper management be required to attend those kinds of seminars.
And also to make that sort of education available to our blue-collar workers, not only to upper management or to R&D personnel, but try to more widespread education. I guess the corporation could also work very closely with the gay and lesbian employee group to talk with us and what are our needs, and try to understand how it is a business issue. If you have 10% of your employees who feel that you're not on their side, I can't see how that only seems that it would hurt the corporation.
I think I'm entitled to domestic partner benefits because I'm just as valuable an employee to that company, to my company, as anyone in a heterosexual marriage is. And my partner in life is just as important to me as a man who has a wife and is an employee of the company. And my feeling is the benefits are provided to help attract and maintain an effective workforce, an effective and competent workforce. And by not providing it to me, the company is risking losing the value that I add to the corporation.
What we're trying to do at our location is address small issues that we can. For example, relocation benefits. If a person with a partner gets relocated to another location, expense coverage for their partner to travel with them. And that we've gotten very good response on because it's within the scope of power of an upper middle manager to make those kind of decisions without doing a formal policy change.
What I want from my company, 3 things. Respect as an individual. I think that if a person is respected, they can ultimately contribute to the betterment of themselves and to the corporation's bottom line, which is profits. This is a capitalist society. I want fairness in evaluations. I like to be evaluated on my job performance, not on my sexual preferences. And finally, and equally as important is the equality in the benefit package. You know, both meaning that for those of us who have lovers, you know, they should be able to share in the benefits that our married co-workers have.
In response to these statements of need, corporations like US West and Belcor, among others, have instituted trainings for their employees on the effects of homophobia in the workplace. Corporations like AT&T and Digital have training, and they support the existence of gay, lesbian, and bisexual employee support groups. Corporations like Lotus, Levi Strauss, and MCA do that, and they provide benefits like health care to the domestic partners of their gay, lesbian, and bisexual employees. The results of these efforts is that in these companies, gay, lesbian, and bisexual employees are producing at their optimum level. As a result of these efforts, gay, lesbian, and bisexual employees are feeling truly valued.
I feel both as an individual, as a gay man, as a citizen of this country, that I'm making a valuable contribution to what I to the type of work that I do. And I am loyal to the company, perhaps to a fault, but I am loyal.
I'm very loyal to my company, not only because of its non-discrimination policy and the fact that it is allowing gays, lesbians, and bisexuals to speak up at work. I'm just one of those loyal employees that I work for the company because I'm comfortable there, and I am very happy and very thankful that my company supports my beliefs. It would be a big decision for me to have to make if my company took away their non-discrimination policy. I think I would have to leave. But it would be a very difficult, painful decision.
I feel a lot better working where I do since I've started the gay and lesbian employee group at my site. I used to nearly dread going in, but I've noticed that since I've started the group, I feel a lot more motivated to get my regular job done. It's starting to feel a little bit more like a friendly environment, someplace where I can be understood and appreciated for my achievements, my contributions to my project.
I feel like I have a family at work. I can go to work and I can be connected with people. I have a sense of community at work. And whenever I start to dislike where I work, to get upset with the company, I always think, I have something within that company. I have a family at that company, and that does a lot to keep me there.
The kind of support we get from our company is very highly motivating. I could not go and work for a place where I had to go back into the closet. I would not.
It's such a completely different experience for me in terms of going into work, feeling good about being there, never having to worry about hiding anything. I know that it makes me more productive simply because I now am not editing the things that I say.
I have my partner's picture on my desk at work, and I have my son's picture on my desk at work, side by side. And I have had a few of my coworkers who have asked me who the girl is in the picture, and have wanted to find out more information about my family. For the most part, I find that the glances go towards the picture, but the questions never come out as to who it is who's in the picture. We've not had the opportunity to participate in any company-related functions as a family together. I'd like to do that.
I feel like the one unique thing I bring to the workplace that they cannot replace is my opinions and my thoughts. And that's really what they hired me and are paying me for. On the other hand, if I'm always in a mode where I'm putting that through a filter first to say, is there anything wrong with saying that, or could they possibly detect anything about another part of my life from that, then they're not getting the full benefit of my thoughts and opinions and ideas, which is what they hired me for.